Upwards. I'm Danielle and I've got Hannah with me today to ask me a few questions. The topic we're covering today is whether to use an agency or to hire in-house for your SEO.
Yeah, so we'll talk about our experience a little bit, I suppose. So I'm the junior here, so this is my first agency job. I did a little bit of SEO I did a general marketing job and did what people generally do, and you end up doing everything. So I did a little bit of SEO. So, but you've got more experience doing both.
Yeah, I've done agency and in-house, so
and
there's pros and cons to both for sure. So we're just gonna have a little chat about that today.
And you've been agency for about 7 years now, is it?
Yeah, probably 9 because I was in an agency 2 years before as well.
A lot of experience there.
More experience in agency for sure.
Yeah, but we both know the pros and cons. I think at this point we've done a lot of reading, met a lot of SEO people, and so let's go through it.
Let's go for it.
So my thing with the agency, with in-house specifically, is how you know what to focus on next. So obviously in agency we have a strategist, they plan everything, we've got planned months in advance. But with doing it in-house, it's just on your own. How do you know what to do every day? Do you know?
It depends. I think often they don't have big tools like a Cello in-house, so it is more week to week, day to day. And I think everyone's the one I was at, everyone's in the same office. You could chat to people, so it was kind of like, this is what we're focusing on this week, or we've got a new product line coming in, so we want to build links to this. So it was a little more ad hoc, and I think you could change direction and it wasn't as set as what we do here. Obviously in an agency you have lots of clients, it's not just the handful of brands, so you can, I think day to day they think which is more important.
Yeah,
we kind of have to be equal with everyone and deliver the service that's being paid for, so you know what work you're doing months before. Obviously we plan it in, and we would change if Google had done an update, and we can change direction. We're not rigid in that sense, but we're less flimsy in a way. You don't flit around as much.
So did you have like a strategist when you worked in-house?
No, it was kind of, you'd have like a marketing manager and they'd go through what they'd expect you to do. It was about 5 websites all in a similar niche, so I kind of knew what I was on with each month. But if they bought a new one or they were doing a launch, that'd change it. It can be good in some cases, like having people there. So like comms was easy. You'd just walk up to the client, so to speak, because it'd be a brand manager, and you'd ask for a freebie to give out for someone to review or whatnot. And from that side it was very accessible, and I'd say that was definitely a pro. And stuff got signed off with it, just say go for it, here's the budget, and you'd go. Obviously it's a bit harder in an agency. You have to go through the HubSpot consultant and then to the clients, and you're not always speaking face to face to those people. So it's making sure the other team members know the reasons we want them, and it's someone else speaking on your behalf a lot of the time, which delays it a little bit.
Delays it, but you sort of have to go through that, don't you, when you've got so many clients?
Need it. You need it in an agency, and it is structured so you don't get a lot of the... You hit your goals because it is structured and it's planned out, and what's written down gets done. So that's a pro for an agency. If I was a client, I'd know I was definitely getting it. In-house, it's kind of, is there the resource there to work on my website? Sometimes yes, other times no. So from the client's point of view, agencies could potentially cost more if you're just paying someone's wage in-house, but you're gonna get the results.
And you know for a fact that the person knows what they're talking about. They know, they have the experience, because the agency wouldn't have hired them otherwise.
That's a good point. Like in-house, I was trained up in-house, so I was probably quite cheap and I did a good job and I was reliable. So on that side it worked out, but I didn't have the years behind me. For me, an agency, I like that there's a team of SEOs and we can talk. If anything happens with Google or industry news, we can decide between us how we're going to implement this and take the risk away for the clients as much as we can. And we can talk about updates, and we can talk with the other like design and dev and whatnot and chip in with our opinion. I think sometimes the websites when I was in-house wouldn't be in-house teams and you don't have the communication that you do. But
that's true. I didn't think about it. Like the devs could be completely different, could be an agency and you could be in-house. So that makes a lot of sense.
But
do you think it's more valuable to other people in-house? So say you've got your marketing manager in-house, do you think they're would fully understand what SEO is and be like, yes, that's the strategy that we would use? Or...
Yeah, I think they understand. I think from my experience, they'd go to the conferences and they'd be clued up, but it would still fall to one or two people to kind of enforce things. And it was less, I think you'd just go to more events and try and pick up things and learn from others because you haven't got it in-house. So I think you'd have to invest on doing that and learning from others, as we would from our team, as we've got different experience and different specialisms on our doorstep. In a way, we can kind of chat amongst ourselves, and we all know more about different things, so it's quite efficient in that way, and we can make decisions quickly, whereas I'd probably have to do a bit of research, and I'd be a bit more nervous personally implementing it on my own, I suppose. It's just that we've got a bit of backup in agency.
Did you have... So we do, obviously, we have like the four of us now in the team, we all have like our specialisms. Did you just do everything basically, or like focus specifically on...
It started with a couple of us and it was tech and outreach, and then eventually it's just like doing a bit of everything. It was more general, whereas here we kind of stick to our specialisms, which I think it's more complicated and more admin in-house. Not in-house, internally in an agency, because of SEO tasks, and we don't just have one client. So we're not like, these are Danielle's clients, these are Hannah's clients. It's like, Danielle's better at outreach, so she's working on them this month, but then Anthony's better working on them next month, and Hannah's better on the third month. So it gets complicated if we're doing monthly reporting, because we've all touched them and we need to know what's worked, what hasn't. But that's better for the client, in my opinion, rather than me doing things that I'm not that strong at and I don't love doing. I feel like you're delivering the service and they're getting a fair amount of work done, and it's moving them forward with their SEO each month. But if you've got someone that's really passionate, you'd prefer that, because you're going to get a better job. So that's how we do it in an agency. And it was slightly different. You'd pick up all sorts in-house. If someone on social media was off, you'd post on there and you'd help out as much as you could. You'd probably do the same in a small agency as well. You'd do the ad hoc stuff and keep it ticking over. But
that's the one thing I really like about here, is that you do have your specialism and you do know what you're best at and how to train up to do better things. And that's another thing, is that you have time for training. So we've been doing a lot of the SEMrush courses recently, and that's massively helpful. And obviously the HubSpot cert's always really good.
I think that's been with really organised, having a seller, and that's your work. You have a percentage of time for training, whereas if you just pushed and pulled in different directions in-house, you often don't have the free time to prioritise your learning and stuff.
It's knowing what you're doing every day as well, which is really helpful. So it's you know that you're doing link building this day and, you know, tech another day, that sort of thing. Obviously massive pro of agency is that you're working on different things. You're getting more... I feel like I know loads more about cybersecurity and security than I ever did. Because you're working on so many different topics, and I think that's a great thing.
I think budgets, like the SEO tools, in-house you kind of more limited. My experience was there was less budget for that sort of thing, and it was a lot of manual finding the data. I feel like we have a bigger pot of money, so we can test tools and switch and chop and change and have a few under our belt that we always use. And similar with templates, we've got everyone updating the templates and improving them constantly, and processes, and noticing when things don't quite work. So it's like a constant update of the documents, which you often don't have time for in-house. And I don't love templates, whereas it's other people's strong points, so I benefit from that. Because I get to use a better template, the client gets a better service. So it's like having people that, whatever your weaknesses are, it's their strengths, so that you all complement each other.
Did you find that, so you're talking about like goals and things like that, do you find that when you're doing in-house and you say you're doing different things, do you think you track different things as an SEO? Or would you be more on top of like social stuff as well, or do you think it'd be...
It's probably similar, but from my experience it wasn't as, because you're kind of working for a brand, it was less return on investment, because you had less to prove, because you were all in-house, you all knew each other. I think when you have clients and you're at an agency, you have to say like, we've made you this much money, and a lot of the time a marketing manager would kind of do the overall reporting, whereas here we're all the specialists have a say in get across how well it's worked or how well it hasn't and change. So
you probably don't need to upsell, I suppose, as much because you're in-house, you're working for that company. I suppose.
Less to prove in a way because they know you, so it's harder to challenge people you sat next to. I suppose it's easy to challenge someone in an agency that you like, we're paying you a lot of money, we need you to prove it's worth it, and we're getting the money back 10 times or however much. So
makes sense.
Yeah.
So as far as being an employee, you prefer agency work then, would you say? Definitely.
I prefer agency with more tools at my disposal and support from the team, for sure.
So what do you think clients should look out for when they're deciding between them? Is it like the size of the team, the expertise, that sort of thing?
I think it doesn't have to be just one. You could have an SEO in-house that worked with us and we could advise and consult if you wanted to do that sort of service. Or it's, if you are thinking of hiring, is an agency, they've already got everyone trained up, do we just invest in that and it's off our plate and it's just them reporting to us? So I definitely, they're worth considering. They've done it for years, they're set up and ready to go. So it's a really good option, a really strong option. It's interesting to look at what your competitors are doing. Do they pay agencies or do they have it in-house? How not intense, but how detailed are their strategies? Are they paying for a full 6-month plan and you're doing nothing? It's competing with them and looking at what they're doing and trying to get ahead of them at all costs.
Absolutely. So I think there's a lot of things to consider when you're doing it. So that's just our opinions on what we think.
Thanks for listening.
Thank you for listening to this latest episode of Trending Upwards. Make sure you keep an eye out for the next one. I'm Hannah, it's Danielle from Digital 22/Avidly at this point. Thank you.